Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. First of all, happy holidays everybody. I hope you're having an amazing winter season, enjoying December, and can't wait for 2024. But in today's video, we are going to be doing a beginner deep dive into tailoring. The reason why I've decided to do this is I've gotten a lot of questions from beginners saying, hey, what's the best profession to pick up? You know, I want to start gold making, I want to start crafting, etc. And my number one answer is always tailoring. So to back that up, I really want to make a video diving into why I believe tailoring is so good for beginners and ultimately how you can make enough gold every single day to afford your WoW token per month. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get started. And so to start off, I really just want to talk about why I choose tailoring over anything else as a whole, and there's really four main reasons. First of all, it is insanely cheap to learn. Tailoring, compared to all other primary professions, it is very, very cheap. So you can be a gold maker with 5k to your name, even 2k to your name, maybe 10k, and you can definitely start tailoring right away. Secondly, the items you're going to be learning in Dragonflight specifically is very accessible, yet in high demand. Right now, as you guys probably know, this profession system relies on specializations, which is a key component to many of the items we might be discussing, but there's a large group of items that don't require any specializations whatsoever, and these items sell very fast and have good profit, unlike a lot of other professions. Thirdly, it also scales very well. And what I mean by this is as a gold maker yourself, you're slowly going to be making more gold, have more gold in your pocket, and you're slowly going to level your profession. And that means you're going to have a lot of options to expand. You know, quick spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about bags and armor, but that can quickly expand into bolts and other items as well. And I also mean scaling very well kind of towards the end of the expansion. What I mean by this is as we get closer and closer to the War Within, many of these items are quote-unquote timeless, meaning it doesn't matter if it's the beginning of patch, it doesn't matter if it's the end of patch, it doesn't matter even if it's the War Within, many of these items are still going to sell. Will all of them? Not necessarily. Will some of them drop in value? Yes, but you generally will always be able to find profit with tailoring, which is just not something that you can guarantee with a lot of other professions. And lastly, this is a Dragonflight specific video, but there is a ton of expandability once you're ready, once you're comfortable to go into old world tailoring. Not only is it cheap, like I mentioned earlier, like Dragonflight, but there are so many easy options, and all you have to do is spend a little gold and up your old world crafts. So this is something that I highly recommend beginners start venturing in once they have Dragonflight stuff down, but that is just a great perk as well. And so with those four things out of the way, the last little disclaimer that I want to mention is 100% the best way to make gold is through diversity. Do I recommend that you only do tailoring for the rest of your gold making career? Absolutely not. I recommend getting all professions as soon as possible. But if you're looking to just kind of dip your toes into gold making and try to make some extra income, I highly recommend tailoring to be your first adventure. Also, something that I want you guys to be thinking about throughout this video is whatever your gold making goal is. In this video, as an example, we're going to be talking about WoW tokens, so let's put that into perspective. Right now, the NA WoW token is about 260k, while the EU, I believe, is about 330k, so you're going to have to shift this depending on your region, but for just simplicity's sake, we're going to say that a WoW token costs 300k. Assuming you need to purchase one every 30 days, 300,000 divided by 30 is 10,000 gold. So in order to make 300k per month, you need to be making 10,000 profit per day. So throughout this video, I'm going to be mentioning that 10,000 number, but feel free to modify this to whatever your goal is. And hopefully this can kind of put in perspective all of the different items we're going to be talking about and their margins. And alright, I'm officially on my tailor, who happens to be my main character. That doesn't have to be the case for you, but I recommend going ahead and leveling your tailoring as much as possible. If you can hit level 30, great. If you can hit level 50, if you can max it to 100, whatever you can do is perfectly fine. Because basically, as soon as you learn tailoring and level it up slightly, you're going to have access to this first item, which are your very basic Dragonflight bags. The ones that I'm talking about is the Wilder Cloth bag right here, and the reagent bag, which you get super early on in your tailoring career. And the perks about these is that people buy them like crazy, and they are super cheap. If we quickly look right now, if we do an active search, it costs me about 17, we can round it to 18 gold per bag to craft, which is super cheap. Even if you have 1,000 gold to your name only, you can still affordably craft a few of these bags. And by the way, I use Auctionator and CraftSim for prices. I highly recommend both of those add-ons. And with that being said, currently on my medium pop server, I can sell these for 178 gold a piece. Now, right off the bat, I know that price is high compared to a lot of high pop servers, but if we quickly look at the NA region average, the region average price is about 70 gold. It's actually 69 gold. So turning 18 gold into, 70 gold, of course, is an auction house fee, but you're more than doubling your money, and that is perfect as a beginner. Even if this bag currently sells for 40 gold on your auction house, after auction house fee, that's 38 gold in your pocket. If it costs 18 gold to craft, that is 20 gold profit right there, and that is super easy to craft. Secondly, you also have the Wilder Cloth bag, which is the exact same thing. Currently, these cost me about 22 gold to craft. They do sell for about 144 gold on my server. And the current NA region average is about 75 gold. So even so, right, turning 20 gold into 75 gold is really awesome. And the point still stands. Let's say they currently sell for only 40 gold on your server, turning 22 gold into 38 gold. That is some great profit, especially for beginners. It might only be 16 gold, but if you have 1,000 gold to your name, that adds up very quickly. And another perk about these bags is that they are generally purchased in bulk. Now, the reagent bag, people only need one of, but you need 4 bags in your inventory to fill out your slots. So people who are buying a Wilder Cloth bag, they're generally not buying one, they're buying, 3, 4, 2, they're generally buying in batches. And the perfect thing is, if somebody's buying it for themselves and their bank, that's a total of 11 bags that can be purchased from you. A single bag might only be making you 38 gold profit, but if one person comes and they need to buy bags for themselves and at their bank, and they buy all 11 straight from you, that's 418 gold of profit in your pocket, which is really great. And so, depending on the type of beginner you are, you might have a few more options. For example, let's say you're just a new gold maker, but you've been playing Dragonflight for a while, then you likely have reputation on one of your characters. And if so, you can easily get reputation on another due to all the reputation buffs. And so if that's the case, if you happen to have reputation on this character, on your tailor, or somebody else, you can easily gain access to the expedition and the other reagent bag. These require renown, so if you're a fresh Dragonflight player, these aren't going to be immediately accessible for you, but this is a great beginner reward to work towards. These bags are going to be slightly more expensive to craft, but their returns are also going to be a lot higher. For example, right here, this is the Azure Weave Expedition Pack, and currently this costs about 2.3, we can round up 2.3 thousand gold to craft each. Now, that's a big step up from 17 gold a piece, but your profit is a lot higher. We went from making, on my server, 150 gold, it might be 38 gold profit on your server, to multiple hundred. Secondly, you have the reagent bag, which is the same case. Right now, actually, these prices are really good on my server, but it costs a little bit more. It's almost a 4,000 gold cost, so it's a little bit more expensive, but I can currently sell it for about 9,000. That is a little bit inflated on my server, I will say, but you can just have the opportunity of making so much more gold, but you do have to spend a little bit more as well. And so before moving on, I quickly want to throw in a little bit of a crafting tip right here, and if you're a beginner and you haven't already, I highly recommend getting yourself 3 different types of tailoring tools to match each skill. Now, these could be the basic green ones. These do not have to be the blue ones. You can upgrade them later, so don't feel like you have to always max out to blue. You can simply craft the green versions, that's fine, but you're going to want a multi-craft tool, you're going to want a inspiration tool, and a resourcefulness. And the reason why is because this can change your profits pretty drastically. If I have my keep in mind this is rank 3, but if I have my rank 3 inspiration tool equipped, I'm still making profit, but I'm making about 700 gold profit, which is pretty good. And if I change this to my multicraft tool, you can see, wow, it ups like 50 gold profit just by changing that tool. And you can see that I have resourcefulness attached here, and this is a higher quality. However, because we are dealing with resourcefulness here, if I equipped my resourcefulness tool that's not even maxed out, my profit goes all the way up to 900. And that's just because of how much resourcefulness I get from this specific tool, and I could get way more if I upgrade this to quality 5. And so quickly, this just kind of shows the power of different tools. If we go back to that inspiration, it goes to 780, and we go back, it goes all the way to 930. So that can drastically increase your profits. So that is just something that you should keep in mind. Always pay attention to the different stats and what they're affecting, and make sure you have the opportunity to switch out your tools. And so quickly, if we go over here to my auction house account, as you can see, as I was talking to you guys, I actually sold 4 of these bags for 3,000 gold apiece. So they do in fact sell. And you can see right here, there's a reagent bag for 178. And I believe I actually sold, yes, I sold the Chronoclath reagent bags. I only sold them for 4.7, so that's about 1,000 gold profit compared to what it's currently showing, but still, just these 4 bags, that's 4,000 gold profit in my inventory from 4 items, and that is, you know, once again, if our goal is 10,000 gold profit per day, that is 4/10 of it right there, just from 4 single items. But alright, moving forward, I know I talked a lot about these bags, but I really just wanted to get some basics out of the way. The rest of these categories are going to move slightly faster. And so the second category that I want to mention is basic PvP and leveling armor. If you look up Verdant in your tailoring menu, these are the main items that I'm focusing on. These currently are items that you have to buy the recipes off the auction house, so it's slightly a little bit of a monetary investment, but these are insanely easy to craft. They only require 120 recipe difficulty, and they make pretty decent profit margins. Right here, this hood goes for about 1,800 gold, costs about 940 to craft, so that's making a lot of profit. I actually have a dedicated video about these new sets of PvP armor for 10.2. I'll have that linked down below if you want more information specifically on these pieces of gear. So I highly recommend you watch that if you want some more, but we're gonna kind of pass through this pretty fast because of that dedicated video. Another thing to mention that a lot of people forget about is this basic surveyor's gear. The reason why this does so well is because it's actually the first 3 pieces right here are actually level 61 gear, so if people don't have heirlooms and they just want some quick eye level boost, people actually buy these. Super cheap to make, super easy to craft, requires skill 40, so I highly recommend giving these a try if they're profitable on your server. And so moving on, kind of keeping the theme of low skill, I really want to highlight Dragonflight toys. The great thing about tailoring is that there are a lot of toys that fall under this profession, which is just great for beginner gold makers. Now, the only caveat about this category is that it kind of depends on where you're at with reputation. Like I said at the beginning, you know, there's kind of 2 different types of beginners. There's beginners who are just brand new to Dragonflight, and then there's seasoned Dragonflight players who are also trying to get into gold making. And so depending where you're at, you could easily obtain these recipes, or you might have to put in a little bit of effort. But either way, I encourage you to kind of try and gather as many of these toy recipes as you can, because they make great extra profit. The perks of these, of course, assuming you can get your hands on the recipe, is that these really don't require any sort of skill at all, because they're simple toys that you just learn. There's no quality, there's nothing like that. So as long as you have the recipe, you're good to go. And another perk is that a lot of these are actually pretty cheap. The Duck Stuff Lovey, which I love to sell, only cost about 250 gold, and currently I sell it for about 4,000 on my server. Region average is about 2,000, which is still 10x your crafting cost. This one's a little bit more expensive. Region average is about 3,000 to 4,000. Of course, it's a lot higher on my medium pop, but still doubling your money is very, very great. This one's actually the most expensive to craft due to this reagent going way up in value, but still 2,600 gold is still pretty affordable. And as you can see, I'm actually the only seller on this auction house right now. So that just kind of shows my medium pop server. Is that going to be the case for you? Not necessarily, but highly recommend looking at it. Then you have the cushion, both cushions actually, and the tent. Highly recommend trying to get all of these items. And alright. Up to this point, we have talked about some very basic items, requires basically no specializations at all, etc., but this is where we're going to kind of shift. And these items are still fairly easy to craft, but they are going to rely on specializations, so this is something you're going to work towards. But remember, we talked about scaling and how tailoring scales super well. These are the items that I'm talking about. And what we're going to dive into are bolts. First of all, we have our cooldown bolts, which is your Azure Weave and your Chrono Cloth. These are daily cooldowns that you can do, and you will be able to make a lot of profit with these. This, of course, relies on specific specializations, specifically this tree. I have a dedicated video about these cooldowns as well. I'll have that linked below. I highly recommend watching if you're interested, but this is a great opportunity, especially if you have a lot of alts. Currently, I have my tailoring basically maxed out. You know, I don't have any of like the armor stuff really, but everything else is good to go. And as you can see right now, I can make about 300 gold profit per craft with these bolts, which is very, very good. It's about a 52% profit margin, which is very, very good. Right here with the Azure Weave bolts, it's actually a bit higher at 500, and my crafting cost is only 600. I did this yesterday, so I will throw the screenshots on screen, but these are daily cooldowns, and so what I do is I wait for all crafts to go up to 30. It takes a handful of days. You get one craft every 8 hours or so. But I did a full crafting session of 30 yesterday, and just after crafting my Chrono Cloth bolts, I was making 12.5 thousand gold profit. Then after that, I went up and crafted my Azure Weave, and the Azure Weave plus the Chrono Cloth left me with about 30.7 thousand gold of profit, which of course takes a few days for your cooldowns to go up, but that 30.7 thousand gold, you know, that is 3 days of profit for your WoW token that you've completed, assuming you're trying to make 10,000 gold per day. And so this is just a great cooldown to do once you have maxed out. Now, of course, let's say you don't have maxed out tools, that's not the end of the world. You know, if I unequip everything right here, I can't really unequip my specializations, but if I take away my items and say like I have nothing, I'm still making 200 gold. The profit, of course, is no longer as much, but it doesn't mean that you have to have max everything to make a little bit of profit. And I know some people are worried about cancel scanning because those bolts are region-wide items, but to test that, I went and as soon as I took that screenshot of profit, I sent my bolts over to try to sell them on the auction house, and I made sure all of them sold. I don't know if this is exactly all showing because I do have a lot of mail. I believe it is though, and I sold all of these bolts. Keep in mind, these don't apply. But I sold off all of the Azure Weave and the Chrono Cloth bolts within 15 minutes. Here's another screenshot of all of them sold, and the time difference between the profit screenshot and them all selling was 15 minutes. So it's definitely very easy to get done. Secondly, you could take this a step further, and if you do your cooldowns, you can take the lesser quality bolts, use those for your bags, and make even more profit. So what I actually did both of those cooldowns, and then I took some of the extra bolts that I had, and I crafted 5 of the bags each, and that left me with 44.6 thousand gold, and you saw those bags sold earlier. So profit just continues to build as you could build out your inventory. But moving on, the last two bolts that I want to mention is the Infurious bolt. I highly recommend getting this recipe. Yes, it's going to be a while until you can actually max it out, but the profit is pretty decent. The worst thing about these bolts is that the profit does fluctuate. Right now, we're only making about 33 gold profit, which is not terrible. But last night, I was making about 50 to 60 gold profit. So it does fluctuate, but that means that a lot of times you can get some pretty good margins. And also keep an eye out for the normal vibrant bolt as well. You kind of have to play around with if the rank 3 bolts are more valuable than rank 2. Right now the rank 3s actually bring in a little bit more value. Like I said, these kind of fall in prices. It really depends on the vibrant shard price. These have gone up a little bit, so it's not really as worth it as much, but sometimes you can find a really good deal on these vibrant bolts. And yeah, that is just a few examples. Of course, another favorite of mine is this vibrant polishing cloth recipe. Once your skill is high enough, you can actually guarantee quality 3, and these actually sell super well, and they also sell pretty fast. So if you can get your hand on this recipe and you can max them out, I highly recommend it. And also, I haven't talked at all about crafting orders. So if you're somebody who wants to get into garment crafting, I highly recommend it. Check out best in slot lists, see what people need, but this is definitely a route you can go. I personally don't, so I'm not really going to speak about it in this video. But yeah, that is kind of it. Like I said, if you guys want to, I highly recommend diving into Old World as well. Kind of going back over to my sales, I kind of showed a glimpse of it. If you look up bags, as you can see, I sold Frostweave bags, which you know are Northrend, Wrath of the Lich King era. I also have these Hydral Expedition bags, which are from Cataclysm, and both of these sell super well. I sell deep sea bags, I sell everything, so diving into Old World tailoring is really great. Right now, this item probably cost me about 20 gold max to craft, and I sold it for 2,000 gold because people just wanted fancy transmog. So I highly recommend diving into Old World once you kind of have a rhythm going and you just want to expand your inventory even more. At the end of the day, diversity is key. So whether you get diversity from multiple expansions, multiple items, or multiple professions, do it to increase your profit per day. And finally, just a few shout outs to some items. If you're dealing with inspiration and you really want to maximize on your inspiration, make sure you pick up some of this incense. It increases your inspiration. The quality only affects the minute, so it doesn't really matter. I always buy the cheapest, get the most money out of whichever one you buy, but this is definitely a great item. And if you're crafting a ton of bags or bolts, definitely pick up Files of the Quick Hands. This one does matter. I highly recommend quality 3 to make sure you get the most speed possible, but this can be life-changing. So definitely pick up these items to save you a little bit of time and make you some more profit. But yeah, I could go on about tailoring forever, but this video is very long. I have no idea the length of the final cut, but my recording says 43 minutes, so this is definitely a long one. If you guys made it this far, let me know in the comments down below. Tell me what your favorite food is, and I'll know that you made it this far. But everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys figured out something good, whether it was a simple tip as the crafting potion, or maybe you're finally going to pick up tailoring and give it a shot. I highly recommend it. To anybody who kind of wants a deep dive like this, but for another profession, let me know as well. I'm definitely open to it. I recommend a lot of professions to people, so deep dives can always exist. But everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great, happy holidays. Enjoy Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. And as always, everybody, have a good day.